All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm still trying to get this Audi going. I've got it all back together. I don't have any check engine lights, but it's leaking coolant from the water pump. So I'm going to show how to replace the water pump. I'm not replacing the water pump. All I'm going to do is pull it off and replace the gasket. But this will show you how to replace it if you need to replace it. So it just goes with the journey. Hopefully this helps people in their with their Audis if they need to do this on the 2.0. But yeah, unfortunately I got to do it. So here we go. All right, first things first, I got to drain the antifreeze. You can see that I've already lost a little bit just from the car sitting. It's leaking sitting, not even running. When it runs, it pours out even worse. So and the water is, I don't know if I'll be able to get it to show up on camera, but right down in there, which it keeps focusing on the wrong damn spot, but anyway, down there's water on the block, and it's rolling down. It's starting here and rolling down. So yeah, I'm gonna pull the intake off again and take the water pump off. You don't have to pull the intake off, but it's easier to see everything that you're doing. I may not pull it off, but that's, I don't know, we'll figure it out. All right, first things first, you got to drain the antifreeze. In order to do that, just pull this petcock drain out of the bottom of the lower radiator hose. It's sitting in there this way. You turn it this way and then pull straight down on it, and it comes out. And I like to use a small tote to catch my antifreeze, because then I run it through paint filters and put it back into a fresh jug, and I reuse it, because this is all fresh coolant. So I'm not getting rid of this. This is still good coolant. So I'm just going to filter it and put it back into the car. All right, so in order to make this easier to remove, I am going to remove the throttle body. It's 4 T30 Torx bits. Disconnect all those, and then once I get that off, I'll show you where we go next. But I went ahead and disconnected the intake air temperature sensor and the throttle body connector, oil pressure sensor, and then unhooked it, and I've got it tucked over here out of the way. So I'm gonna remove the throttle body, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, next thing we're gonna do is disconnect that heater hose right here. And all you do is just, if I can film it, pop that little metal clip pop it forward and pop the other side forward. You got to do them both at the same time. So I'm gonna see if I can show this. So there, now it's locked out into its open position, and then you just kind of wiggle it back and forth. That thing's gonna make me a liar. They usually come off really easy. Come on. There we go. Good God. All right, anyway, get that disconnected. And then I went ahead and disconnected this pipe right here. It's just a hose clamp. Squeeze it, pull it back, and then pull the hose off. And now we need to remove this cover on the end that's covering the timing belt for the water pump. So it's a T30 bolt here, and then there's another one coming in from the side. You can't really see it, but it's coming in from the side up here. And well, you might be able to see it through there. There it is right there. So there's a T30 coming in through the side. Take those off, and then you can get to the belt. And then you've got a bolt down in here, one right there, one right up here in the corner. You can't really see it. And then one down here, and then there's some across the bottom. But we're going to disconnect the two radiator hoses before we get to that point. All right, so if you remove the two T30 bolts that are holding this in, and it sits on those two posts, if you take that off and swing it out of the way, you can take the front heater hose tube off. There's a bolt right here and it's a T30. And there's another one up here going into the side of the block. Right there. And that's a T30 as well. And then you can pull that hose out, and then you can remove that cover for the timing belt for the water pump. It's easy access once you get that out. Now I can go ahead and pull all the bolts for the water pump, and I can pull the water pump off. All right, once you get all those bolts out, so you have 3 long ones, a short one, and a medium one. When the water pump is sitting in there like this, the short one goes here, the medium one goes here, and the 3 long ones go right here, and right here. Once you get it loose, you got to shake it and move it down to the side so that you can push the belt off. Once you get because there's the belt right there. Now, if you need to replace the belt, this is a left-handed thread nut down here. This belt is new. It got replaced when we switched it to this metal water pump, but we didn't replace the gasket when we swapped it to this before I bought the car. I did this for my brother when I thought he was keeping the car. But you can see this gasket is flattened out and it needs to be repaired, but you can see it was leaking right here is where it was leaking. So I've got a fresh gasket for it in the house. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, put a new gasket on it, and put it back together. All right, so now I got a new gasket in there. You can see it sitting above the top of the surface, and the other one was completely flat with the surface melted out and whatnot. I really need to replace these on here. This is a little junction tube that runs up to the front, but I only had this gasket. I didn't have these two. So as bad as I hate to do this, I'm going to put it back together because I don't have those O-rings. And I mean, it wasn't leaking from here, it was leaking from up here, so I'm hoping that I'll still be good. These are still above the surface, so they should be all right, but I don't like putting these things back together with old gaskets. I did it on this one because I didn't have a choice when I was up in Kentucky, and I didn't think I was going to wind up buying this car. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to put it back together with the way that it is now. So I've wiped this off. I've wiped off the face down there on the block, and I'm going to go ahead and bolt this thing in. I don't know if you're going to be able to see any of this, but I'm going to try. So I put that piece into here. I'm going to slide it into the receiver on the engine, and then I'll roll the water pump into place. And then you got to get the drive belt for the water pump on it before you get it too far in. All right, getting that belt on is kind of a bear, but I just got it on. Trying to keep my body out of the way so you can see that, but I just got the belt on there. So now that the belt's on, I've got it pushed into the receiver on the block. So now I'm going to start putting my long bolts in here. So the 3 long bolts go in the back. One right there. One right there. And one right there. And go ahead and run those in hand tight. All right, and then we take the 2 other ones. Longer one goes in the bottom. Or at least that's how it was on this car. So that's the way it's going back together. And then the shorter one goes on top. Now, I normally don't torque these. You can if you want to. I just kind of know where they need to be. Based on where I'm holding my wrench, I know about what torque I can put on it based on where my hand position is. But if you haven't been wrenching for very long, I would recommend using a torque wrench. Because you definitely don't want to over tighten them and be like He-Man and snap the damn things. All right, so all those are tight. Now that all those are tight, I can go ahead and put the cover back on the timing belt for the water pump. That's this cover right here. Just drop it in right like so. And that bolt going straight in, going in that way, not the one going in this way, but the one going in this way is longer than the other one. Go ahead and run that in. Go ahead and run this other one in. Actually, that should be. And those don't have to be super tight. It's just a plastic cover. They just need to be tight enough to where they're not going to vibrate out. All right, now that that's done, now we can put this tube back on. There is another O-ring on this tube. Typically, if you're going to replace all this stuff, you need to replace that O-ring as well. This O-ring is still in good shape. It's still above the raise, or above the groove. So I'm going to let it run. Plus, it was not leaking from there. It was only leaking from that one spot on the back. So you just set this in place, push it in. You need to line it up with your bolt hole in the back and with the bolt hole on the bottom. So move that hose out of the way and go ahead and put our bolt in right here. We're going to run it in, but I'm not going to snug it down yet. I'm just going to run it down until it touches and then back it off a little bit. And I dropped the other screw under the car, so I got to grab it. So now I got the other screw. I'll go ahead and run this one in. So run both of those in. Go ahead and tighten them down now. And this is a plastic tube as well, so don't go overboard with tightening it, but it does need to be tight. All right, now that that's tight, I can go ahead and pop both my radiator hoses back on. You do not have to have the clip popped out to pop them on. If you just have the clip in, when you see them spring out and spring back in, when they spring back in, that's when it's locked in. So lower radiator hose goes to the lower connection on the water pump, and the upper radiator hose goes to the upper connection. But just line up there's a keyway in the hose. Just line it up and then push it on. So you can see there's a little keyway right here. Line that, and there's another one on this side. So line those keyways up and then just push it in. And it'll pop into where it's supposed to be. All right, both of those are on. Now I can pop this upper heater hose on. And I can pop the back heater hose back on. All right, well, anyway, I gotta find my pliers so I can put that back on. That needs to go back on the wiring up there. All right. Once that's done, you can put these electrical connectors back up. And you can hook up your water temperature sensor, which is down here on the water pump. Just push that in and clip it in. We'll go ahead and mount these. And these are a T30. All right, I gotta find my pliers so I can put that back straight. Once I do that, I can hook up my electrical connectors and put the throttle body back on, but I gotta find my pliers. So let me find my pliers and then I'll pick back up. All right, so I got that hose clamp moved up to where it belongs. Now that that's done, I can hook up the rest of this electronics. Get all this back up where it belongs. So I'm gonna hook up all the stuff from my intake. Hook up the knock sensor. Hook up this vacuum sensor. Hook up the alternator. Those go over there. Bam. All right. So everything's hooked up over here. The only thing that I have left to hook up now is put the throttle body back on, hook up those bolts, or hook up that throttle valve, and then put the freaking intake tube on, and then fill it back up with antifreeze. So, most important thing on this is just make sure your gasket's still there, because I had it fall out earlier on a different video that I was doing. So don't let that happen to you. And then screw this thing in. Who the fuck are you? Oh. What's happening? Oh, you're fine. I didn't know who the hell you were, though. What's happening?
I was like, well, I know the truck was up just a second ago, but I don't want to bother him. I know sometimes you're in, sometimes you're out.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing, first of all?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm fine until somebody says, how you doing? Shitty. That's what I'm doing. Anyway, so I have my mom's Jeep.
Uh-huh.
And when she had it,
Mm-hmm.
It rode fine.
Yeah.
We've had it in the backyard. I definitely didn't crank it like I should have.
Yeah.
Just to keep it running. But the last time we tried to crank it, like it wouldn't crank at all.
Wouldn't click, wouldn't turn, what?
You know what? I wish I had the answer for that. Because I was on the outside.
Okay, yeah, if it was clicking but not turning,
I can find out.
that would be a dead battery. If it's turning but not cranking, that could be anything.
He charged the battery.
Okay.
I think it ended up being for like 24 hours.
Uh-huh.
From the time, he put it on to the time we were able to get back out there.
Yep.
And when he put it back in, it still didn't.
Still wouldn't do anything?
Right.
Okay.
He's no longer at the house.
Oh, okay.
So, I want to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why we were trying to get it started anyway.
Yeah.
So.
What is it? Is it a Cherokee?
I think so.
Okay.
It's like a 2015 I think it's like a 2013 or 15.
Okay.
It's white.
Jeep Cherokee.
I don't know if you know the type of car where the house used to stay at, the people that live there now. I don't know if you've ever seen their vehicle, but it's the same thing that they drive, that the woman drives.
Oh,
It's just
no.
an older version, but I think it is a Jeep. I don't know. The old Jeep Cherokees were square.
They were square, but the new ones are rounded.
Okay, this one is still square.
It could be a Liberty.
It is a Liberty. Because it's smaller than the Cherokee.
Yeah, the Liberty's the middle one. The Renegade's the small one, Liberty's the medium, and the Cherokee's the big one.
Gotcha.
All right, so now that I've got the car back together, I'm going to filter the coolant through these paint filters. It's a real fine mesh, and it'll get any contaminants out of any dirt out of the antifreeze. Since this antifreeze is still new, it's the only reason I'm doing this. If this antifreeze had been run for any amount of time, I would just change it out, but because it's new, I'm going to filter it. So all I do, I got me my fresh jug. Put my filter in there, and then dump this into there and let it filter. All right, guys, I'm getting ready to do a boost leak test on this car. This is a 2-inch PVC trap and cap, and then I have a adapter for cold air intake, and this is the reducer to go from 3-inch to 2.5 inch, or I'm sorry, from 2.5 inch to 2-inch, because the outside diameter of this is like 2 1/8, and then that inside of this is 2.5. There is no plumbing fixture that's actually 2.5 inches, so I had to come up with this to make it work. But essentially, this is going to be the same way that I do my other Audi, the 2.7. So I've got a regulator assembly that I'm going to put on here. I'll be able to adjust the flow rate going into here. I also bought a dishwasher reducing connector, and that's what I'm using to cap off the intake manifold port for the PCV. So you just remove that hose and put this on here so that you can cap the line off. I just put a bolt in there. That was the only bolt that I could find that was big enough. But you just find something to put in there to cap it off, and that'll seal that up. And then we just pull this off, tighten that clamp down and get all this airtight. And then we'll put the regulator on there and we'll check for boost leaks. All right, everybody, so I've been chasing leaks on this car. This is the coolant leak that I was experiencing. This is the coolant supply line from the turbo to the block. And you can see it's blown out right there. So I bought a new hose, replaced it, and now I'm having it's shooting freaking oil out of this oil return line. Now I wound up replacing the hose because the hose was messed up. I'm gonna show you the hose that I had to replace. So this is the original hose that was on there. You can see it's all chewed up on this end. It's all broken right there, and it was leaking. So I bought a foot of this hose from AutoZone, 1930 seconds, and it's good for 50 psi, 3/4 bar, and because it's PCV hose, it's oil resistant. I didn't want to use heater hose, but put this back on and it's leaking. And the reason that it's leaking now is because this flange right here is no longer flat. I'm having a hard time trying to find a flat surface to be able to show you guys. I mean, I can see that it's not flat, but getting it to pick up on camera is kind of hard because it's not very much. But you can see light. If I can get it to focus. Right there. You can see light underneath it. And that thing is crooked as could be. So it's blowing oil out of it. This flange is bowed up like that too. I don't know if they're supposed to be made that way, but I wouldn't think so. I would think that they would want the ends bowed up so that it presses the center in. But I put new gaskets on both sides of this, and it is just blowing oil out of the top port up close to the turbo. So I was trying to save myself $100 because this replacement hose is $100, but I may just have to bite the bullet and go buy the $100 hose. All right, guys, I just got back from AutoZone a little bit over 35 minutes away from my house. So I've been gone for a while, but this is the Dorman part number for the oil return line. And I looked at it before I bought it, and these flanges are perfectly flat. They're not convex or concave. And these ones are ruined. So my idea would have worked if the hose, if the flanges were still flat. And I could probably resurface these flanges and get them flat, but I don't know if the structural integrity is still there. So I might as well just, I mean, this was $100. It cost me $9 to buy that tubing. It's neither here nor there. This one's comes with gaskets too. And I actually bought 2 Felpro gaskets already for when I repaired the hose, and now that I've taken it apart again, I have to replace them. So I bought 2 more Felpro gaskets, not realizing that the hose came with it. So I'll probably wind up saving these for later in case anything ever happens where I have to pull it apart again. I've got the gaskets already. They were cheap, and I plan on keeping that car for a very long time. But I'll just use the gaskets that came with the hose. So now I'm going to put the hose on there. I've already put the coolant hose on there. Now I'm going to put this hose on there and make sure all my leaks are gone. All right, guys, I wanted to show you the flanges on this thing are actually not flat anymore. Only one of them is not flat. So there's the flange that goes to the block. And that flange is pretty flat, meets up really good. All right, this is the flange to the turbo. See how much of a gap there is there? And that thing was shooting oil out. You can see light through it right there. So just one flange on this one is damaged, and it's the one that goes to the turbo. I'm also going to share a little secret with you guys that I figured out, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, but so here's your triple square 8mm. If I can get it to focus, it's a triple square 8mm. This is a 6mm Allen wrench. 6mm, let me get it to focus. There, 6mm. And there's the triple square. And there is no slop in that thing at all. That's how I've been able to get to the bolts for the oil return line, because the triple squares that they sell, the 8mm, aren't that long. You can buy special ones that are that long. The standard ones are only short like this, and there's not enough room to get in there. This will go right up through there, right around the coolant hose, and you can get straight into it, and it's a perfect fit for these triple squares. I mean, it's a perfect freaking fit. So just figured I'd share. All right, so here's my M8 triple square. M8, if I can get it to focus. It's trying to focus on my hand. There we go, M8. And then this is the 6mm Allen wrench. And all it does is basically removes every other one of the tips on the triple square. But it's a perfect match as far as size goes. So if you're in a pinch, you can use a 6mm on an 8mm triple square. All right, guys, I think I've got all the oil leaks fixed on this thing finally. Took a while, but got all the oil and coolant leaks fixed. I haven't had the 2187 alarm come back on the engine. The only codes that I'm still getting is a air quality control sensor for the air conditioning, which is for fresh air. And then the lane assist, one of the modules behind the rear bumper is bad. And I don't really care if it works or not. I mean, I don't need it for the state inspection, so I'm not super worried about it. I'll replace it later. But wound up ordering a new front lower timing cover. I tried to reuse that one that I pulled off when I did the head, and it kept leaking, so I wound up replacing it and the upper timing cover. Put a new O-ring on the dipstick tube, replaced the oil return line, which I showed in the video, replaced the O-ring on the supply line going to the turbo from the block, just the O-ring on the block, and then replace the supply line for the coolant to the turbo, and that's it. Got everything else squared away. I'm gonna go take it to get it inspected Friday of this week, and hopefully I'll have it registered on Monday. So we'll see how it goes. But like always, if you like what you saw in this video, or if it helped you out in any way, please like, comment, share, subscribe, let your friends see what I'm doing. I'm still trying to get to the Veloster, but it is still raining here in Georgia. It's rained almost every single day at my house. I don't know if it's raining in the rest of the state, but it has rained at my house almost every freaking day for over a month, and I'm getting really irritated about it because I haven't been able to do any work to the Veloster because I need to be able to weld, and I'm not taking my welder out there in the rain and ruining my welder. So it may be a little bit before I can do any more work to the Veloster. I'm at the mercy of the weather because I don't have a shop. But it looks like this weekend's supposed to be nice. So if this weekend's nice and the car and the Audi passes inspection on Friday, then I'm going to spend this entire weekend working on the Veloster. Try and get the rear end completely welded in, get the rear axle bolted in, get the gas tank bolted in, brake lines, all that kind of stuff. So maybe within the next couple weeks, I'd be able to actually start the car. I won't drive it around, but I could at least start the car and make sure that everything's working, make sure everything's going to work the way that I want it to, hook up all the wiring and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But as of right now, I haven't done hardly any work to the Veloster, definitely not enough for a video. So we'll just have to wait and see what the weather does. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video. Have a great one.